Next up is a Yamaha 5-disc CD changer that was heading to recycling. So I was able to scoop this one, and I don't know if it works or not. I don't know what it needs. All I know is that it was on its way to recycling, and I collected it. So we're going to open this one up before I even plug it in and give it a once over, see if it works, see what it needs. Maybe we can get this one working. Maybe we can't. Yamaha CD players were generally pretty good, so let's get started. This time I have a Yamaha CDC685. This is a 5-disc CD changer. I have no idea whether it works or not. We're going to pop the top off it and just observe its operation and see if it actually does work and what it might need to get it working if it's not. Now, keep in mind, I did get this from a fellow that was taking it to recycling. So the possibility of it working, well, it might, but the probability of it not is it's probably got a problem because it was being taken to recycling. And that's why I've opened it up before even attempting to power it up. I've got the unit connected to power, turn on the power. Well, that part works. Could this thing actually work? Might this thing just need basic, lubrication and so forth? That part works. Look at that. And the nice thing about these units is you could actually put all 5 discs in at once because you could access the rear slots. You didn't have to switch them around. Oh, well, it has a problem. I pressed the button for it to load and it's not loading. So we do have to do something with this one, but it's probably just a belt. Because you see, there it goes. Give it a hand there and it went in. Will it play? That's the biggie. Will it play? Or is it just gonna do nothing? Okay, we'll hit the play button on here. See whether it'll play a disc. Okay, so it's not gonna play either. Well, at least it was kind of slow at getting going. Okay, it did get going and it did play. Well, that's good. But it was a little bit slow at getting going there, so if we stop it, this time it spun up. We'll get it to the next disc. I'll try disc 5, which is this one. Well, it's playing. Excellent. Okay, well, now I get to work on getting this tray to stop sticking because I had to give it a push to get it to go in. It has play exchange too, which will let, oh, it stops it completely. Oh, that was open. So, yeah, see it's stuck again. I actually have to give it a physical push to get it to go in. So it needs a belt. It needs a belt for starters. Let's, I'm going to try that play exchange and see if that opens up properly. So play exchange is this button. That should open it, which it does, but again it's sticking. See, I pressed the button for it to go in. It's not going in. The thing about play exchange on this is it extends the disc tray to the full open position, so you can change 4 of them without having to push any buttons. Unlike the Sony's, which only came out a little bit, and then you had to press a button. You could change 2 of them, and then you would press a button, and it would swing around to the other ones. This one here, you can change 4 discs while one is playing. And I think some people probably were dumb enough to try to do this while a disc was playing, and of course, you know what would happen then if you closed it, right? You'd end up with that was a bad design. That middle tray was you could actually put something into it, because you know that someone would do that. Someone would do that, put a disc in there and end up with big problems. But I gotta push the tray closed to get it to close. So we have an issue. So let's stop it. And let's go in there and see whether I can replace a belt. I think probably everything else is probably okay on this machine. See it sticking on. eject as well. So let's open it up and find a belt. So this machine has two belts. It's got two. It's got one gear driven motor that turns the tray around. It has a belt here to lower and raise the disc assembly, and that's a belt driven pulley there, and a little switch that we probably should clean. And there's a third belt that is over here somewhere, because that's what opens and closes the disc tray, and optical sensors down here. Where is that motor? Because that's the one that's slipping. It has virtually no torque whatsoever. And is it under? I think it's under here. Okay, there it is. There's a cover here. We'll just unplug this thing so it doesn't take my finger off. There's a plastic cover here, and if we lift this up, aha! There's a belt right there, and it's nice and easy to get to. So let's just pull that belt out and go find a replacement. I might even have one sitting right here. Maybe not. Okay, let me go and dig up my box of used belts and see if I can find one that will fit. I know I'm going to get my fans out there. They're going to hate this because I said I had a box of used belts. Some of these are new. Some of them are belts that I've pulled off of machines that were being sent for recycling. I don't buy a lot of belts. I've ordered a couple of belt kits from Amazon to, well, let's just say greatly different results. Some were good, some were pretty poor. I can still source belts locally from the local parts vendor if I know the size. I can't just say, hey, I've got this model and I need a belt for it. That doesn't cut it. I would have to actually measure the belt. And how you do that is you take your original belt and you stretch it out and you measure it. So if I do that, fold the belt in half. I mean, you could cut it to get the length, but you need the length of the belt. So if we take the belt and pull it straight out, easiest way is to put a couple of screwdrivers or something in there so that you can stretch the belt out and you can measure exactly how big the belt is. I'll put I'll put the first side at the 1, and the other one is stretched out is just under 3.5. So it's 2.5 inches is the size of the belt. Or if I pull this one down to the 0 here, you'll see here that stretched out this belt is about 2.5 inches. So that means it's a 5-inch belt, because you would measure the entire circumference. So if this is 2.5, this would be a 5. This would be an SBM square belt, medium size, and it would be a 5-inch belt. But you take 10% off that, so it would be more like probably a 4.7 or 4.8 inch belt. And I would order one in FBM 4.8, say, for example. They're all measured in inches still. And then I would wait a couple days. I'd pay my $6 or $7 or whatever a belt costs these days, plus my $5 or so shipping. And in a week I would have a new belt. Or I can just pull belts off of stuff that I'm scrapping, and then I have a belt for free. Or I could buy a pack of belts from Amazon for, $9.95 or something and get an assortment. And some of these are just that. And out of that assortment, you typically will get 1 or 2 that actually fit things that you want, and the rest of them are either too big or too small. That's my experience with a lot of the Amazon belts. Is you buy one of those belt kits that has 30 belts in it, and you've got maybe 2 that are really useful, and the rest of them, well, they might be useful for something, but they're generally not useful for what you want, because most of these domestic equipment from this era used belts of a specific size and very common size numbers, and then you'll get oddball numbers that are either a little bit too tight or a little bit too loose in these multi-packs. But that has been my experience with ordering belts. It used to be a lot easier when I could just go down to the one of the stores when they were still around and just buy it. But pretty much all the shops that are selling parts these days have gone online, and you have to order it, and then you're paying for shipping. And I'm resistant to do that unless I absolutely have to, just because A, I don't want to wait. B, I don't want to pay the shipping. And C, if it's a place like Mauser or DigiKey, it's going to be shipped out of the United States, and then there's brokerage and so forth, fees and duties and crap that they tack on. $20 to ship a part. Are you kidding? Anyway, that's my rant on belts. But people always ask me, where do I get my belts from? Well, now you know. 9 times out of 10, the belt that I'm using is one that has been salvaged from something else that I keep. I'm just going to look for one that's just a little bit smaller than the original and see if that will work. I should also point out that this belt has not really lost its elasticity. It's just gotten really slippery. This might be one that would be good for boiling. Belts that are just slippery, quite often you can boil them for 10 minutes or so and that will get them working. Something else I noticed on this one is that the tray is kind of sticking. I have to push it. You see, it's stuck. So maybe some lubricant on the rails here is also in order. I'll do that before I change out the belt, because this is quite sticky. Like even pushing it by hand, I have to push it quite a bit. So I'm going to get some lithium grease. We'll grease this up and see how free I can make this thing. That might be part of the problem. Is it's not so much the belt slipping, but it's the tray is stuck. So I'll throw some grease down here on the track that it slides on. Oh, there we go. Getting better already. Okay, it's no longer sticking like it was. I'm sure there's some rails on the bottom too that I should look at, so let's just turn it over on the side. Look for the rails on the bottom because there will be some. We have rails here. We'll put some grease on these rails. Turn it over and give it a few shots at working the grease in. Much better. Much better. It's not sticking anymore at all. I'll lubricate the gear here as well. This top of this gear, this bearing point. Probably wouldn't hurt to take that apart and put some grease right into it, but that should be good enough, I think. And then I'll go and dig up a belt. We'll get a new belt on there and see how it works. I'm going to grease this gear as well because you know it's going to need it. And also there's another little belt here too. And I'll also grease this track here. This is what the optical pickup rides in as it's being raised and lowered. So we can turn this just to work that grease in. Nothing sticking there, that's for sure. That's nice. Nice and smooth. I found a belt that's roughly the same size as the original one, so let's just get this one in here and get it threaded in around the pulley and the loading motor itself. Okay, let's try this out and see how this one works. Alright, the disc tray is out. There it goes back. No sticking. Let's load our discs again. We'll load this into spot 1 and spot 2 and close it and hit go. Okay, I guess what I can do now is I can just let this unit play, make sure it plays through without skipping or stopping, and if so, then I've got myself a good 5-disc CD player that I can probably sell. I don't need a 5-disc CD player. I've got too many 200-disc and 300-disc CD changers. I don't need a 5-disc. So somebody else probably want this one if it's working, which at this point it appears to be. I'm going to leave it at this and just let it run. If there's any problems with it, well, I guess we'll have to take another look at it. But at this point, everything's looking good. I know it did when it first loaded that disc. It appeared to read incorrectly initially. I'll go to the next disc because it tended to start to spin and then it spun backwards for a second and then it spun up. But that's just the focusing when it first booted up. This is also, you see how badly scratched that disc is. So yeah, I would expect reading problems with a disc that is that badly damaged. But it's reading it. Go back to that disc again. You see, it spins up no problem. So I'll say thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.